Up here is Sundown Bay, back shoreline. Another one of the great areas like to fish. Just right down from Sundown, this outside edge here on the ICW, as you're headed down toward San Antonio Bay, these little back lake areas there. We've had a little influx of water that came here, so it kind of opened some of these areas up. There's a little cut through that you can get back there where that Texas Parks and Wildlife uh, deal is, which is way down here. Right in this particular area here, there's a little cut through that you can get back into some of these back lakes that are back in this area here. So, haven't been able to get the boat back in some of those just because we haven't had a tremendous amount of water. That little influx of water, you can get on your trolling motor there and you can kind of ease back into some of that and jump out and wait it. Now, it's kind of mushy if you're going to do that, but there is opportunity that's back in some of these little back lakes now that we've got some more water in play. Just one of the little areas like that when that water does come back that you can access, and you should access it because you can find some quality fish back in some of those. Haven't found anything real big in some of those lakes, but medium-sized redfish and that lower slot size at 21 to 23. There seems to be quite a few of those around. Some decent trout back in there, but that's the main thing that has we've caught in those particular places like that. Now we're coming back down here to Sundown. Get on this back shoreline here, just get on that grass line edge and just kind of work down these edges that way. You've got back lake mouths again that are down this way as well. You can access those. You can kind of walk up into those little cuts if you like to. It's mushy in those areas as well, but you got some scattered shell in there. But again, with the influx of water that we've had over the last couple of days, they become optimal. Those fish will push back up in that. Of course, you got to have your main things in place. There's got to be some bait working in and around those areas like that for you to locate and find some fish in it. But it can be done. There's fish that are hanging on this outer edge. Like I said, we've been working this grass line, been working up against the shoreline, all the way down into here. There's a little cut through that comes back around through the backside there and dumps back out in the ICW. That gets real mushy down in that corner down there. And then, of course, you can work the backside of the little island there that butts up to the ICW there. So lots of different opportunities in and around these areas. So like I say, there's been some pretty good fish that are hanging around these areas. So we're just applying the things that we need to do and the baits we've been primarily using. All of our plastics and everything. The down south and knock and tail mirror lures have been good for us. Little John XL, Soft Don XL have all been pretty good baits for us. Kind of shied away from the corky game just because the plastics have been very good for us, so we've kind of stuck with that here over the last several days. And our water temps are starting to come back up. We're seeing 70-degree temps pretty consistently over the last few days. So something else to consider now. That's going to change your patterns a little bit, and it'll start to continue to trend that way. We've got a little bit of a cool front that's pushed in here that shouldn't be significant by any means. Air temp will be a little bit chillier, but it shouldn't affect the water that much. You may see a degree or two that drops, but then as we transition back, as our temperatures begin to come back up again over the next few days, then that water temps will stay right there where it's been, 70, 72, 73, even some 74-degree temps in some places on a nice, beautiful sunny day that's kind of pushed up there for us. But it gets those fish active. It gets them going. It gets them moving. That's going to be areas that if you're going to try to target big fish, you're going to want to start getting around in that grass area and kind of start working those areas because they're going to start to push up to lay their eggs. So just something to consider if that's what you're doing, or if you just want to hang with the redfish game. All those type of things will be, be in play as we transition into our late spring and summertime, not too terribly far away. We're still in the transition days. Big moon's coming. Something to consider there as well. Should be some fluctuation of tides that'll happen in and around that big moon. Don't forget to downsize your profiles on that. So smaller baits to start with, and then just kind of transition out of that and to see kind of what the fish are wanting you to do. Again, majors and minors are always a big thing that we want to get around. So you'll have that moon rise, and a moonset minor should be a pretty good 10-day increment there for us when we start to get into that time frame. So get out there and take advantage of that time. Over here in Carlos, this back shoreline right along in here, all the way back around through a little cut through Cedar Dugout. In the Cedar Dugout on the shell bar that comes back around here, then dumps back around here on this backside. on the east side here in Carlos. And of course, working all the way back here off the point, and then working into the fingers of Carlos. All these little areas have kind of lit up here the last few days. Found a few fish up and down this shell bar and stuff like that on the other side, all the way back down to the old ICW that cuts through there. Again, with the fluctuation in the water levels changing for us, that again it opens and closes different fishing areas for you, and so when we've got that little push of water that we've had over the last few days, it's opened up some fishing areas in here, which you can fish, but more water in some of these areas is better than some other places. So that's why some of the things you always have to take in consideration. If you fish an area enough to know, you know what conditions are best for them. So when there's a little bit more water, little flow that's coming into Carlos becomes, that bay little system lights up for you pretty good. So we've caught some decent fish in and around these areas that I've just highlighted for you. A lot of it's structure based. It's always what you want to be able to do. Structure and bait. It's always the two main things. Grass is always the common denominator, no matter what time of year it is. So again, main things that we've been throwing in here: the down south, in the original and the burner. Thrown a few of the supermodels. The new bait that Down South has come out with is called the Big Smooth. If you haven't tried those, it's a pretty good bait. It's real. It's got a lot of action on it, and so right at the moment, not a tremendous amount of color changes in that. It's got three main flavors that are there. So if you get a chance to pick some up, get you a bag of those and go throw them, you'll enjoy them. They're a lot of fun. Of course, we're still throwing the 16th ounce jig head on those. And again, the assortment of down south baits we're throwing. Of course, Big Pop has been good. Twisted Tea's been good for us. Mud minnow in all the down south, and of course in the burner shad size has been good. Knock and tail in the greenbacks in the rogue flavor has been pretty good for us. The Mirror Little Johns, golden red glitter has been pretty dominant this past week. It has caught a lot of fish on that particular flavor, and it's got, if you've thrown those, of course, you got the XL that's been good too. So again, with the big moon that's coming to us here, not too far away, it's a great little bait to start with. It's, small like that, because again, you want to downsize during that full moon period until your fish kind of dictate to you what they're wanting as far as profile, color, and all that good stuff. But that's a great little bait. Again, it darts, got a lot of action on it, so you can get a lot of reactionary strikes on that, especially if you have a slow bite morning. We've had a few of those. We've kind of grind away till we can kind of figure out what they're wanting to do. Of course, the soft dines and soft dine XL has been good for us. Double D has been another pretty good bait for us. So there's an assortment right there that you can choose from. You can kind of put it into your arsenal there and see what you like, see what your fish are wanting to do. And again, it all boils down to what you have confidence in. So if you got one particular bait or another that you like more than anything, throw it. And that's what you know that you can catch fish on consistently. Again, majors and minors are a key factor in locating and finding fish for us. Make sure that you're incorporating those into your fishing day to continue to have a productive day in and around your time frames. Off here on Newcomb Bend, Newcomb Point, this whole outside shoreline, it's been pretty good. Again, nice little fluctuation of water here. Lights up some of these little areas like that. Fish kind of push into it. So if you're able to take advantage of those time frame whenever that happens, then you can have some pretty solid days on the water. We like to get in around here and get in the bend side of it, all the way down here in the little corner. We fish some of these little back lake mouths out here. Fish kind of hang and hold on these typically pretty decent little areas. Some days are better than others. That's just typical fishing. This is the way it is. As you head down here toward Holiday Beach area, you got some little areas in there that can kind of hold some fish for you as well, and you can locate some pretty decent fish in this. But it's been pretty solid for us for the most part. We spend a day here or a day there, a couple hours or so into it. If maybe in a transition time phrase, we're waiting on a minor or a major to kick in for us, then we'll hit some areas that are very similar to this, like here at Newcomb Point and Newcomb Bend. So you can work all this up here and down there. You can spend all day long on this particular thing. Again, structure and bait, two main things that you really want to make sure that you're using into your fishing day every day that you go. That's the two main things. If you don't have bait working in the area that you're trying to fish, you're really going to just spin your wheels. So always taking that in consideration. Think about that. It's a very productive thing to be able to know that you have that bait working there, because there's going to be, if the food source is there, the fish typically are going to be there with them. Now, again, the things we've been using, the down south and the supermodel, the original size, the burner shad, and the mirror lures, and all the different, basically the Little Johns and Little John XL. We've worked a little bit more double D in these particular areas. It sets up pretty well for it. And of course, if you got the thigh to waist deep water, the double D is very good bait for that because of the way that it works. It's an ascending style bait. Haven't thrown very much top water, very little, here and there. But if our waters continue to stay like we got temperature-wise, the top water bite should kind of kick in for us pretty good. So I always have one ready to tie on, just for nothing else, just to have fun to see if you can't get those blow-ups on. It's a great feeling and a lot of excitement when that happens. So in the knock and tail lures, again, it's been the greenback and the rogue have been the two flavors that we've thrown there. A little bit of heavy metal have been okay. Then, of course, what I was mentioning earlier about the down south and that new bait, the Big Smooth, has been pretty good for us as well. And it's got, like I say, a lot of action, 5-6 inch bait like that, tremendous amount of movement to it, and pretty durable at the most part. So again, if you get an opportunity to get you a bag of those, pick some of those up, and continue to work these areas out here. Like I say, we spent some time out on the outside, on the bay side here. We've had some pretty decent days, mornings here, and some afternoons as well. You can, especially if you get it around that major or that minor, and that's an afternoon bite, and that's when you're able to get on the water, then take advantage of that, because we've caught some pretty decent redfish that have been off of there. A few trout. Again, no great numbers, no great size, but all pretty much in that slot size. And speaking of the slot size, you've got the new trout rig that's going to be coming out at the end of the month. I believe it's the 26th of this month. That new trout rig is going to be changing. If you're not aware of that or have heard of that, then that's going to go from what it is now. It's going to go to 15 to 20 inches, and it's going to be 3 fish, and that's strictly for the trout. So something to keep in the back of your brain whenever that starts to kick in, because it's going to kick in kind of a wonky time of the year. Usually you would think that's going to happen in September, but they decided to go ahead and do it now, which is fine, especially with the spring coming and the summertime coming. That'll be a big helpful for our estuaries all in and around the Texas coast. So anyhow, again, majors and minors, main thing that you want to focus in on, structure bait. And then, of course, just look at your time frames when things come. Big moon's coming again. Make sure you downsize those baits. Take your time working these areas. There's going to be a lot of little fish that's going to be in the system that you may have to kind of wade through to find you some better fish. But have fun when you're on the water, and be safe, and take care.